I grew up as I would say, a rock and roll rebel. I would say people probably thought I worshiped the devil growing up, because I was just a rock and roll guy, listening to the hard rock music, blah, blah, blah. Got told I was going to hell by the overly elite Christian people when I was like in junior high school. I remember I had a friend calls me on the phone one day. He's like, dude, I need you to come pick me up. I'm getting kicked out of my house. So I said, okay, sure. What, So I go to his house, show up at his house, and his mom was a really religious lady. Really religious lady. I remember I worked at a grocery store, and I remember she would come to the store, and every time I'd ever see her, she'd always ask me the same question. Hey, when are you going to come to church with me? Hey, when are you going to come to church with me? Hey, it was just like, geez, lady, give it a break, Putting her groceries in her car. And I said, all right. I'll go with you this Sunday. She's like, really? You going to come this Sunday? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I showed up on Sunday, and I was really, really, really out of place, really out of my element for sure. And I remember walking to the door, and I'm just like, do I really want to do this? But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm this rebel guy, and I'm just kind of like, whatever, I'll walk in. I don't care what anyone says about me or my long hair. And I go in, and she's like at the door waiting for me. And she gives me a big hug, because in her mind, she's like, oh, if I can get this guy saved, my son will maybe follow along. I didn't know what to expect, because I grew up going to a little Baptist church with my parents, where it was piano, singing, whatever. And I go in, and there's a bass player and a drummer, and and I'm a rock and roll guy. So I'm like, oh, this music isn't nearly as bad as I expected. I thought this is kind of cool. 3 or 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks in, and he says, if you want to accept Christ, then come on up and whatever. And my heart kind of started pounding, and it's that thing where you go, man, I don't want to go up there. But being a rebel, I'm like, okay, I'm going to defy what my heart's telling me or what my feelings are. And I went up there, and he's like, well, what are you up here for? And I said, well, I want to have Jesus in my heart, whatever, however, I don't remember how I said it. I don't know if this is, I don't know if it was real. I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't a drug guy ever. My drug of choice was just rock and roll. And, but still, I lived kind of a promiscuous life. And I know 1,000% that I'd cursed God, just getting really, really mad and thinking the world was the worst place in the world and it was all God's fault. Am I really like a savable person? I don't think I would have thought of it like this then, but like I would have been like, is God's grace enough for me? Is what I did last night by that surrender, was that legit? There's a line of people, and they're going down the line. He gets to me, and he's like, well, what are you up here for? I was like, I want to be saved or whatever. And he's like, well, weren't you up here last night? I was like, yeah, I did. And he's like, well, then why are you up here again? Like, I just want to be sure. I want to be, like, I want to know. I'm not sure. And so then that's just what he prayed for me. He said, just, that I would be confident in it, or whatever the wording was. Like, I felt something different. Like, it felt like, I don't know, like a knowing. I walked out that day, and I thought, okay, that's it. It's real. It took time to change. I think a lot of people think, okay, I gotta show up and, be cleaned off first. And, it's the opposite. You kind of just show up without really knowing. You think, I'm just going. Okay, yeah, this lady wants me to go to church with her. I'll go. Yeah, and, slowly but surely, and 30 years later, almost, it's still slowly but surely, trying to become what I need to be who I need to be. And I guess that's what I would say. That's pretty much how it went.